This is a state endangered species. This is a Kirtland snake. This is probably a second year, possibly a male Kirtland snake. Can I get you to hang on to this, Patrick, for just a moment? You'll see. There you go. The females will get to be about 3 times this long, and this area has the largest studied population of Kirtland snakes in the state. It's a species with a very small distribution. It really only exists at all in 3 or 4 states right in this local area here. And it's one of the more hopeful stories, because one of the early problems with studying it is that usually you'd study snakes by going around when it's hot and looking, you know, under boards and things like that. And because these guys eat worms, as most of the smaller, sort of more ground snakes are, it's hard to find worms on the surface when it's 90 degrees outside and the ground is dry. These guys are fairly deep into mostly the crawfish burrows. Hear the steel marbles? The cricket frogs are calling. By that time, if you want to look for these guys, when you want to look for them is the tail end of March if it's really, really warm, and during April when the water table is really high, and so the worms are going to be active really high. The minute that the water table starts to drop, so do these guys, right down into burrows. The only ones that stay near the surface until July are the females, who are stuck with the same problem as the frogs. They have internal birth. They grow the babies inside, and they cannot bake them without heat. No baby baking, no baby development. The best way to get the babies out as quickly as possible, get them out into the environment where they can start doing their thing, is to stay as warm as possible and keep everybody developing quickly. So only the females are available near the surface, and if they're feeding, they're not available there either. So once people started sort of modifying their ideas of when they should be able to find these things, they began to find them a little bit more frequently, and we now know that Muscatatuck, for example, the National Wildlife Refuge over in Sycamore, has a very good population. And we've had a number of people phoning us in the surrounding areas, people over in Story and a number of other places where it's good and wet, indicating that they've got Kirtland snakes as well. So this is one which seems to have a better conservation status than was originally the case, but it's still a wetland-related species, and Indiana still farms most of its wetlands, and so you can imagine that a plow is not a good thing for something that needs burrows, because burrows get destroyed immediately when you start plowing into fields. So, but this one is really being very, very calm. It's a very, very well-behaved little species. I've handled several dozen of them and never had one offer to bite. They're really the pacifists of the snake world, and just really a treat to work with. No, not at all. Not at all. Just a very nice thing. Where did this come from?
Back there.
Okay.
Yeah, I nearly stepped on it.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Scurried right across in front of me.
I'm going to put it over where